So the last time I walked here, I saw 3 or 4 owls. It was at least 3. It was early dusk. Like here, basically, in the trees. I'm not sure if they were chicks or adults. But there's still quite a lot of wildlife here in this area. I saw the legless lizard here too. I think last time I was here. No, a couple of times ago. And then more often than not, one can see deer as well. There's this one kind of well, it's not an isolated forest, but it's next to the ocean, and to the other side there are some fields, and it's pretty close. So most of the deer I've seen in that forest area, for whatever reason, they like to hang out there. It's like a low-lying forest. This area here is a little bit higher up. And there's gonna be a small gardening area. Not gardening, I don't know what it is in English, but an area where people grow all kinds of vegetables and berries and stuff. You know what I mean, you'll see it soon. So I'm pretty interested in seeing whether or not we're gonna see any animals, any like a little bit more unusual animals, like, I don't know, maybe hawks, maybe eagles. There are eagles. One of the world's biggest bird species lives over there on that one island very nearby. Actually, where do I have to go from here, I guess? Ocean eagle or sea eagle. It's not quite the biggest, but I think it's, out of all the eagle species, it's the biggest. And they are they are actually very easy to spot because they are so big, and they have had nests over there, at least like the past years or so, like multiple years on that one island. That would be very visible. You could walk there in the winter and man, I walked up those. There are some really brutal stairs back there, not visible here, but maybe all in all 70 to 100 quite steep steps, and I walked up them like 2 steps at a time, and I was so freaking tired. I had to sit down, and apparently this body is not in the best of conditions, but it's not too bad. It was a lot worse before. Maybe I've learned to deal with stress better, not to react so strongly, so also the overall health is better, although I'm also eating better as well, like more healthily. Less wheat, less sugar, although I do eat some sugar from certain sources, but less wheat, less milk, less artificial ingredients, and then more magnesium, more zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D3, vitamin K2. That's pretty loud. So, so this is the aforementioned place where people grow food and herbs and stuff, flowers. And that's the forest that I mentioned that has the deer usually. Or they're not contained there. They can move, but they like to be there for some reason. Oh wait. I feel like a tourist. Although this is just my normal, well, not quite the everyday walking environment, but similar places there are still quite a lot in many different places on the outskirts or in the outskirts of Helsinki. No people here. That's kind of strange. The weather is really good, but I guess it's fairly early and it's a weekday. So, but I would assume that there are many retirees, retired people, for example, would spend their time here. But well, I see 3, I guess. So yeah, 3 people visible. 4. I found one psychedelic mushroom here that I didn't eat, but I was interested nonetheless. So Gluteus salissimus, I've mentioned it before also. In these kind of areas you can find those if you're into that kind of a thing. Psychedelics. They grow on, was it willows, or I don't know what the tree is in English. Is it a willow or what? Paju in Finnish. In those like rotting, or not maybe rotting, but decomposing tree trunks that have some moss and stuff. They grow on those. It's kind of like gray. The color is from the top. It's like grayish blue, and some like really light gray. And then from beneath, it's pinkish. The spore print is pinkish, and the cap is about around 5 centimeters, 5 to 7 centimeters wide across. And I do not know how they taste. I've never taken them, but I do know about them. And yeah, I have tripped before, but not on those mushrooms. And psychedelic trips can be absolutely amazing. They're like portals to another planet. That's what it feels like, literally. Can be like portals to another planet, some alien planet. I mean, it's still this Earth, but it appears as some alien planet, or can appear. And then they can show God, or the divine reality that all this actually is. And then they can also show the voice in the head as some kind of a, it can appear like a mechanistic demon troll that repeats and distorts what is initially thought, apparently. But the trips can be absolutely horrific. Like a single psychedelic trip can be the worst thing that can happen to you ever. It's worse than any imagined hell. But I cannot describe it why. It has to do with the despair that I mentioned before. But in apparent time, those things then maybe not for anybody, not for everybody, because some people might or probably have committed suicide after those really bad trips. But those people who have had those and had endured somehow, for them things have gotten better. Although it is also can be the bad trips too can be a kind of a death, but it's a very slow death for the person, for the ego. So in a way it's not correct to say that it's better for them because they have died, in some sense, in some very fundamental sense. And the death is like, it's not only that you die, it's that reality and world and your world and everyone you love, have ever loved or cared about, everyone and everything that you have held as being real, all that dies. That is the death in a way, along with the, like, quotes, your personality. But like the biggest shock is that everything just is suddenly like a hologram. In that sense, everything just dies for you suddenly. And then that includes time, past, present, and future. And when that time is suddenly no more, there's like deep, 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 deep despair and hopelessness. There's nowhere to go. There's no safety at all. That's the feeling anyways. But it gets better in time, so the shock wears down. It's the shock kind of, and some kind of like a really deep underlying resistance to it that causes that absolutely horrific despair and a sense of absolute isolation. It's like being in the middle of space with no possibility to ever see anyone again. Ever. I mean, that's as close as I can get with words. The sense of isolation is like absolute, or can be, not for everyone, but it gets better. This is the deer forest, but I don't know if we will see any now, especially. Oh, that's a raven. There are also ravens here. You can hear them almost every time, like right now. One is over there, and the other one is answering over there. Yeah, and you can also see the ravens almost every time nowadays. But the shock and the hopelessness and the despair, those are initial things, and they can just appear due to other things. It doesn't have to be just psychedelics that trigger that. It can be like a life situation, some big accumulation of like tragic, conventionally seen as tragic things, like losing a family or death of a spouse or sudden death of both parents or death of one's children can trigger that state. It's the death of the personality, because that has been kept up due to the relationships to different things and different people, and when they are taken away, that identity cannot hold itself up anymore. it cannot be held up somehow. But the so-called apparent death process can be absolutely horrific and long-lasting, seemingly. Ravens. You can also hear them laughing. Sometimes they clearly laugh and play. You can see them playing in the air, playing tag or something and laughing at the same time. Ravens seem to be really playful animals. I guess that's kind of a sign of an intelligence too. Like dogs also. And magpies, one of the most intelligent animals, but ravens are also probably at least as intelligent as magpies. Magpies have personalities and they recognize themselves in the mirror, for example. That's a kind of a test, or can be a test, to see if there is an ego and like a little person there, so to speak, due to the intelligence. These are close. Where? Cool. I was hoping for some animals, and we have them. Although it's not visible, but can be heard. There's a flower fly on my finger as I'm filming this. Now it flew off. And there's a raven up there. It's conversing with some other raven. You could hear the other raven in the distance also. So like I said, I don't know if this got cut off or not, but those ravens are really playful at times, and you can hear them laughing also. I came from there, took a route through the forest over there, which is not visible right now, but behind these trees. Forest behind these trees. And from there, and I came to here. And this is actually timelessness. This is not time. There is no real time. And like I said, this is the only paradise that we have, relatively speaking. A badger at least has lived here, maybe lives still. There's a badger hole. I might show it. Oh yeah, listen. I don't know if you could hear it. Kaki in Finnish. That one. That one. No, that was me, but I mean the sound is like that. So this is all timelessness. And there's no one separate in it. There's no separate one in here anywhere. And what is the truth of everything? What is the base reality or the natural reality? It's the awareness that is hearing these words. It's what is seen, and it is the seeing, but there's no separate seer. It's all in a way one reality. Also the apparent stuff that is seen, that is also the reality. And when the mind calms down, again, the ravens were totally quiet when I wasn't filming, but now there was one. Well, it was just one sound, but anyway. The bird of what is raven? The bird of death, or the bird of other dimensions, or the bird of magic, or something like that in folklore. So when the body dies, when the apparent body stops functioning, reality doesn't die, or so-called reality. It just seemed like, what is that? Oh, that's a raven, I think. The sound. Sounds like somebody's banging a hollow coconut with a rock. That's what it sounded like. I don't know if the microphone caught it. Oh, here's the badger hole, or one of those. Although there haven't been any visitors, because there's a spider web at the entrance. So this is not in use anymore, at least. Unfortunately, it would be cool if there were badgers running around still. There might be though. Oh, here's another hole. There's another one. In this area I've gotten very close to the deers. The light was pretty dim at the time, and the wind was such that it didn't come from my side, so they didn't smell me, and I could just walk within. I got within maybe less than 10 meters to them, maybe even as close as 5. Oh, I wonder if I caught it, if I was pointing this camera at the right spot. That's a funny sounding bird, actually. A lot of ravens this time, raven sounds. This time around. I don't hear them so close and so much usually. This was kind of an exception. And okay, I got a warning that battery is gonna run out soon. Maybe I'll stop. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say anymore, so that's it. Wow.